We just got through the month of May, Mike, and I'll tell you what, the Phillies have sort of faded in this month. Started off strong. They have lost 9 of their last 11 games. Since May 17th, that was a Monday against the Pirates, they scored 8 runs, looked pretty good. I went to the very next game. Whenever the Phillies score a lot of runs and I have a game the next day, I'm always worried. And I said to my wife and friends going along, watch out, they're not going to score runs today. They lost 2-1. Halladay pitched. That was the game he had 132 pitches. 2-1 they lose to the Pirates, and they've been in a funk ever since. Almost were no hit against the Daisuke Matsuzaka. I just like saying that. What is wrong with this team? The Braves just took over first place. They're not hitting well. It's the whole lineup right now that's not hitting well. They're getting good pitching during this time.
Well, let me borrow.
Explain this.
Let me borrow from Rubenthal. They stink.
I
don't know what's going on. This is beyond. I mean, it's easy to say it's a long season. You play every day. Slumps can happen. This is brutal. Even accepting that all of that is true. What's going on right now is horrific. And this is a team that you would not have thought this was possible about. A lot of smart hitters, a lot of consistent hitters, a lot of guys who have great track records, not over a short period of time. These guys are in mid-career now, and we're talking about Worth and Utley and Howard and so forth. And what's going on with them right now is hard to believe, because it has been... When you have the mental and emotional boost that you ought to get from having your ace pitch a perfect game, and you go out and don't score the next day, and the day of the perfect game, the only run they scored was because of a misplayed fly ball, an unearned run. I mean, what's going on right now is horrendous. It's not just bad; it's horrendous, and we're not going to sit here and pretend we have answers to it, but it's hard to believe.
That was partly what our segment was about. Can we explain what's going on with the Phillies?
And the answer is no.
Phillies fans can't. Now, I've talked on this video shows we do. My wife is an Orioles fan, so I have to watch them a lot. They are actually more enjoyable to watch an offense right now than the Phillies, and that's a scary thought.
Well, one thing I must give myself credit for is that when this kind of stuff is going on, I don't get bent out of shape about it. I just don't pay any attention to it. I turn it off. Sometimes they run a 3-0. A Phillies pitcher will run a 3-0 count. I'll turn the TV off. I mean, I don't mess with it. Why be unpleasant? Why be unhappy? And I was talking to a doctor friend of mine the other day.
Keeps the blood pressure low. Yeah.
This is pretty funny. I was talking to a doctor friend of mine the other day, and he was saying that great gentleman, intellectual guy, really a terrific guy, and he was saying, I feel the same way as you do. I'm not going to get bent out of shape, because they're going to be in it in September, and we'll come back to it then, and everything's going to be fine. And then yesterday, I saw the doctor's brother, and he said, you should see this guy put his feet through walls when things are going bad for his favorite team. So he's not the voice of reason that you might think he is. So I guess we all cope with this in our own way.
Mm-hmm. The shame of it is, Mike, they've been getting great pitching during this stretch.
Yeah, that's what makes it frustrating. You're right.
The other frustrating thing is they had built up a little bit of a margin. They let everybody back in, including now the Braves that have just taken over first place.
Right.
So I agree with your doctor friend that don't worry about it. At the end of the year, as long as they're playing well in September. And teams do go through funk. But to see it be this contagious, I've heard of hitting being contagious, but for a lineup to go through a slump at the same time.
Yeah, it is. It probably is no big deal, but it's hard to believe how hard they've fallen, even if it is a temporary thing and they can get back up and dust themselves off. This is a hard fall that's going on right now.
It's a long season, a lot of baseball yet to play.